So we're just going to start at the top of the mat, feet at hip width apart, and just stretch your arms up over your head, depending on where you like, and then grab your left wrist and stretch off to the right, and then grab your right wrist and stretch off to the left. Reach your arms up as high as you can, and then reach your arms as far back as you can. Then reach your arms out in front of you, interlace your fingers, and just twist around to the left, and then twist around to the right. And then back to the front, reach up, and then bend your knees, bend at the hip, and fold forward. So you might not be able to touch the floor, that's fine. You can rest the forearms on the thighs, not a big deal. I'm just going to shift the weight a little bit from side to side. You might feel that you can put your fingertips on the floor and let your weight slide back into the heels. And then just bring your weight forward. We're going to step the feet back, bring your knees down, child's pose. Just trying to settle your hips back onto your heels. And then roll forward onto all fours, either arch your back, or if it feels comfortable, you might stretch forward into upward facing dog. And then back into child's pose. And then either arch back or upward facing dog. And back into child's pose. This time just let your big toes touch and take your knees as wide as the mat so you can sink down into the hip a little bit more. And then roll forward, same thing, either arch your back, separate your feet so they're as wide as the mat as well. Maybe you come forward into upward dog, just feels a little bit different. Going back into child's pose, you can keep your feet wide or maybe you want your feet together, that's okay. One more, rolling forward. And rolling back. Then just take your right arm and thread it underneath your left. And then take the left arm and thread it underneath your right. Then unthread the left arm. We're going to push back into downward facing dog. I'm going to keep the feet as wide as the mat. Just let your knees be bent, so you want to try and push your hips backwards rather than rushing to straighten the knees. Always try to keep a little bit of movement going. Maybe you can stretch the heels down, maybe not. Then just step your feet so the big toes are touching. Bend the knees almost as if you would lower them to the floor, and then push back, trying to straighten the knees, press the heels towards the floor. And same thing again, just crouching down. You can bring the knees all the way to the floor if you need to, it's fine. And then stretching back, stretching the legs. One more, coming down. Maybe the knees come all the way to the floor. And then stretch back, stretch the heels down as much as you can. And then we're going to step the right foot forward, just up next to the right thumb. So you're coming into a low lunge, stretch the hips forward. When we step back, we're going to step straight back into that downward facing dog position. Maybe your feet are together or maybe you move them to hip width, that's up to you. And then step the left foot forward. Just pressing the hips forward, just wherever they go. Stepping back into that downward facing dog. Maybe bend one knee and straighten the other. And swap. And then we're going to step the right foot forward again, just pressing the hips forward, just wherever they go. And step back. And left foot forward. Just pressing the hips forward. And step back. Bring your knees to the floor. This time I'm going to do child's pose with the knees and the feet together. I'm going to bring the right forearm so that it's just across the front of the body. Put your left hand on the floor and just turn your chest to the left. You might feel like you want to stretch this left arm up, but if it's shoving your shoulder in your face, don't bother. Just come onto the fingertips and open up. I'm just going to swap left arm across the front of the body, turning to the right. Again, you might think that you could open the arm up, but it's not the most important thing. And then coming back down, stretch the arms forward, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward, back into that low lunge, the back knee is on the floor. I'm going to keep the left hand down, stretch the right arm up to the ceiling, just let your chest turn to the right. Then we're going to reach the right arm back behind you. And then sweep them down towards the floor, all the way down, and step back, downward facing dog. So the left foot comes forward, stretch that left arm up. Just nice and easy, I'm not pushing to get further into the lunge, just nice and relaxed. You're going to reach that left arm back behind you. Then allow the hand to sweep down to the floor and step back, downward facing dog. Bring your knees to the floor. We're going to come into a kneeling twist here. So I'm going to take the right arm and just thread it through, bringing the right shoulder to the floor. So if it's a bit too much for you with the hips up over the knees like this, you can always come back into child's pose. Doesn't really matter. Just want to feel comfortable so that you can relax into that twist movement. I'm going to use the left hand pressing on the floor just to turn the chest a little bit more. But you can stretch the left arm forward or wrap it back if you wanted to. I'm going to press down with this left hand to lift back up and change sides. Thread the left arm through. So same thing, just try to find a comfortable position. You might stretch that right arm forward or wrap it back. Maybe just press the hands into the floor to allow the chest to turn a little bit more. You're going to press the right hand down to lift back up. Just come down into child's pose, nice and easy. Then pushing back into downward facing dog. I'm going to bring the right leg forward, but not the foot. Bring the shin onto the floor so the right knee comes forward towards that right thumb. The shin is on the floor, just a straight line. Then put your left knee down, come up onto your fingertips and lift the chest. And then either stay here, or if you feel like you can go for a bigger stretch, you could creep the left knee backwards, so that's the back knee. Or maybe plant your right hand and grab the left foot. Now if that's too much, just leave the leg here and press the hips down towards the floor, it's fine. If you've got hold of the left foot, you might pull the heel towards your hip. It was amazing. When we step back, we're going to bring our hands down onto the floor. See, the left foot and the right foot are in like a stride stance. So when I step back to downward facing dog, that's the stance I'm going to go into. The right foot stays forward, the left foot is back, the left knee is straight, the right knee is bent. Just pressing down into the heels. And then step the right foot back to meet the left. Just shift the hips from side to side, let your weight move from one hand to the other, from one foot to the other. And then we're going to find the middle, bring the left shin forward. So the knee comes up to the left thumb, the shin is in a straight line pointing back on the floor. Just put your right knee down, lift your chest up. Now you can just stay here, and here is a great place to be. You might creep your right knee back a little bit. If you think that you're going to feel comfortable grabbing your foot, use your left hand for balance, so I put it in the middle, and then grab the right foot with the right hand. You might be able to pull the heel towards the hip. Perfect. Then when you let it go, you're going to put the hands onto the floor and step back into that stride stance. So the left foot is forward, the right foot is back, the left knee is bent, and the right knee is straight. Just pressing the heels down towards the floor. And step the left foot back to meet the right. Just shift yourself from side to side. And then bring the knees to the floor. Child's pose. When we come back up, we're going to come all the way up to high kneeling. So put a blanket underneath your knees if it's not super comfortable, the floor that you're on. Bring your arms back behind you, interlace the fingers. Try to keep the chest just level. Stretch the arms back. You can have your elbows bent if you need to. Just release, reach the arms forward. I'm going to take the right arm on top of the left, wrap the hands around, try and grab hold of the shoulder blades. If you think you can go a little bit further, you can bring the bottom arm, the left arm, up, and then the right arm. From here you might be able to stretch the arms up. Then release. You're going to take the arms back around the back. This time, instead of trying to take the arms up, I'm going to pull the hands down towards the floor and lift the chest up. So this is like a back bend in the upper back. Then when you let go, the arms come around the front. This time the left arm is on the top. Grab hold of your shoulder blades. And you can stay here. Maybe you bring the right arm up and then the left. And it's just a little bit of lift. And release. Bring your hands to the floor, push back into downward facing dog, stretch back, press the heels down. Bring the knees back down to the floor, come back up into that high kneeling position. This time we're going to take the left leg out to the side, the toes are pointing forward. So I'm just going to turn around so you can see. So the right hip is over the top of the right knee, stays as it is. Left leg out to the side. Put your left hand onto your left leg. Stretch the right arm up as high as you can. Then we're going to slide bend to the left. Maybe your left hand can slide further down the leg. It doesn't have to. It can stay right up high. You can still reach that right arm all the way over. When you come back up, you're going to take that right arm all the way over. Hands on the floor. Stretch the left arm up. And then reach that left arm over to the right side. You're going to bring this left hand to the floor. Walk your hands around to the front of the mat. So for you guys, that'll be the front of the mat. Take the left knee back in next to the right knee. Come back up to high kneeling. Take your right leg out to the side. Right hand on right leg, stretch the left arm up. Now we're going to side bend to the right. So you could keep the right hand up here, or maybe you slide it down the leg, whatever. Nice steady breath. And then stretch that left arm up all the way over. Left hand to the floor, right arm up. Then stretch that right arm as far over to the left as you can. Really reaching. When we bring that right hand down to the floor, we're going to walk both the hands around to the front of the mat. Just bring the right knee in. You're on hands and knees, and then push back into child's pose. From here, I'm going to push back into downward facing dog. This is the last one. Stretch those heels down to the floor. And then step yourself forward into sitting, just however is comfortable for you. Maybe you can step to cross legs, or you might step onto your knees, that's fine. Just lay down onto your back. Just take a moment here to roll the knees from side to side. You can do that with the feet together or feet apart, doesn't matter. Should be sort of quite a easy, floppy movement. You're not trying to do anything too special. And then we're going to take 5 minutes here. So the video will stop, but you take as long as you like, laying on the floor. You can lay with legs straight, or if you like, you can lay with legs in Baddha Konasana. That's the soles of the feet touching and the knees out to the side. Whatever you choose, it should just be comfortable. I'm going to rest the hands on the tummy just so I can feel the movement of the tummy as I let my breathing relax, so that the tummy just rises and falls with each breath. When you're ready, you can bring yourself back up to sitting.